Well, I finally fell into Todd Howard's trap and bought myself Skyrim. Man, I tried so hard to avoid this game for the longest time, but that sneaky bastard hit me right in the knee, and there was no running from it anymore. My journey into open-world action RPGs started back in 2015 when I first played The Witcher 3. By the way, a lot of people say Geralt of Rivia's Adventures aren't really a classic RPG, but I totally disagree with that. Anyway, that's not what we're here for today. I'd call this video Skyrim through a newbie's eyes, because this game is straight up a cult classic among fans of the genre and the gaming industry as a whole. I played it this year, yep, more than once, including the remastered version from Todd Howard and his crew. And honestly, I found it both amazing and, in some spots, insanely annoying. Like, the NPCs move at this turtle-slow pace. Seriously, that sluggishness drives me nuts. Especially when the story has you walking somewhere with them. They're dragging their feet, and you're zooming past them every step of the way. It's kind of a thing with older RPGs, though, so there's plenty to talk about. We'll kick off this video with the game's iconic symbol, the Dragonborn's Shout. Skyrim's the kind of game everyone's heard of, and tons of people have obviously bought it. Todd Howard nailed it in that department. It's 2011. 5 years have passed since the release of Oblivion, the previous game in the Elder Scrolls series, which a lot of folks see as the real starting point. I mean, Oblivion was already something decent, something you could actually play without squinting. Everything before it looked like Flash games at best. Don't get me wrong, I respect Morrowind, it's a legend for series veterans, but you know how it is. Back in 2002, visuals and mechanics weren't exactly top tier. Oblivion really clicked with players. Critics gave it a 94 on Metacritic, players gave it an 88. The scores were high, and it was pretty clear back then that the fifth game, Skyrim, had to be something special. Funny thing is, Skyrim was being developed alongside another legendary Bethesda title, Fallout 3. Real talk, I've been dying to make a video about Fallout 3. My friends won't shut up about it, saying I've got to play it, but I haven't worked up the nerve yet. Let me know in the comments if you want that video or not, alright? Anyway, The Elder Scrolls V was planned out by just the executive producer and creative director at Bethesda, Todd Howard. I'm guessing this guy needs no introduction, but just in case, he's the big boss at Bethesda Game Studios these days. There was also art director Matt Carafano, another heavy hitter in the gaming world. Howard and Carafano decided the new game needed to shake up the series' design and bring back a sense of mystery to the world. That's how the first concept art of the streets came about, drawn by artist Ray Lederer. They wanted a region that'd feel totally different from Oblivion's Cyrodiil. According to the devs, Tamriel's northern province, with its tricky terrain, harsh climate, and even harsher Nords or Scandinavians, if that's easier, was exactly what they were after. In these brand new, never-before-seen locations, players were supposed to feel like pioneers exploring cold, unfriendly lands. It gave the artists a ton of room to get creative. They could lean into Scandinavian mythology, Vikings, barbarians, and, of course, dragons, which would become the game's calling card. But the studio was worried about going overboard. They wanted a bold design without overdoing it and sliding into pure fantasy like Morrowind. Matt Carafano called Skyrim's style epic realism. They drew inspiration from Todd McFarlane's dark fantasy, the guy behind Spawn Comics, and the Lord of the Rings trilogy, which had a big impact on the team even back during Oblivion. In Skyrim, that influence hits harder. There's a little My Precious vibe, if you catch my drift. Concept-wise, the studio aimed to blend the legacy of all the previous Elder Scrolls games. Todd Howard, who's been with the franchise since the mid-90s, later said, "If Arena was about a huge, uncharted world, Daggerfall was about character progression, Morrowind was about realism, and Oblivion was about AI, then Skyrim was the sum of all that." It's the culmination of years of growth for this iconic RPG series, and it's stayed that way through all its re-releases. In 2008, Fallout 3 drops, rakes in the praise, and the production of the fifth Elder Scrolls levels up. Fallout 3 gave the team some crucial level design experience. It was Bethesda's first game where pros actually handled the levels. Before that, it was a bit of a mess with random devs pitching in. Oblivion built a solid player base who loved its quests, but with Skyrim, Bethesda wasn't trying to outdo it in sheer size. Skyrim's map is actually a bit smaller than Cyrodiil, but the mountainous terrain, rugged landscapes, and verticality make it feel bigger and more epic than the fourth game. For Morrowind, Oblivion, and Fallout 3, Bethesda used the Gamebryo engine. Todd Howard once said it's not really a full engine, more like a half-baked renderer they kept tweaking for each project. For Skyrim, they overhauled it so much it basically became its own thing. Todd recalled, "We rewrote all the core systems, graphics, gameplay, lighting, shadows, detail, animation, UI, dialogue, quests, melee, magic, you name it. They even upgraded their internal editor. With so many changes, they renamed the engine and editor to Creation Engine and Creation Kit. Still, don't expect a graphical revolution. Skyrim, like Oblivion, was built for PC, Xbox 360, and PlayStation 3. Those platforms couldn't handle much more, so the team squeezed every drop out of them. At one point, they even wondered if the consoles could run Skyrim at all. There was talk of delaying it for the next gen, but Todd shut that down fast. The devs wanted a believable look. Skyrim was meant to charm you with its vistas, but the biggest challenge was the dragons. From the start, they decided dragon fights would be the heart of the gameplay. The team underestimated how tough it'd be to pull off flying creatures with AI that could chase players, attack, and then brawl on the ground. It was a beast of a task. To make the dragons work, they scrapped other cool ideas, like a complex economy with trading or tactical limb targeting like in Fallout 3. Fun fact, what else ties Skyrim to the Lord of the Rings? The dragons got their own language built from scratch. Concept artist Adam Adamowicz, under Todd's direction, crafted a runic alphabet with 34 letters. Design director Emil Pagliarulo, hope I said that right, came up with its sound and rules, pulling from Danish, Swedish, German, Old English, and the Beowulf epic. You can totally hear those Nordic vibes. The epic feel got a boost from Jeremy Soul's music. He'd been doing soundtracks for the series since Morrowind. He ran with Todd's idea that Skyrim's main theme should sound like a bunch of barbarians belting it out. Soul recorded a 30-person choir, layered the tracks, and made it feel like 90 voices. That's how we got that legendary track. Everything in the game had to be gorgeous, even the release date. The Elder Scrolls V, Skyrim launched on November 11th, 11. In the first 2 days, it sold 3.4 million copies. In a week, over 7 million. The fifth game outsold Oblivion by 600%. By 2013, it hit 20 million copies. By 2016, 30 million. Alright, if you found this video interesting, please like and subscribe for part 2.